let's have a conversation for a bit. I know that there is a lot going on in the world. There's wars with different countries. There's political nonsense. There's job loss. There's so much going on. And in midst of it all, you are still expected to operate like a high functioning adult. And sometimes you can't. So today I just want to have a conversation that I wish someone would have had with me when I was probably going through my largest or biggest transition in life. And whether you're going through a transition right now, whether you've lost your job or you're changing your career or you're starting something new or a new business or just new country, if you're going through transition, let's just talk for a minute. I have been an entrepreneur all my life. So doing the pivot thing and having that muscle memory of how to pivot is just something that is probably, I know how to do very well. Between toxic upbringing and starting a business very early on, losing a business, starting another one, and just going through those peaks and valleys, I've learned to kind of navigate through some things. And if you feel yourself in this transition, I want to tell you some things or give you some things that if it could help one person, then I did what I could do. And sometimes you'll find you may not be able to talk to your friends. They may not understand. They may not have the perspective, or they may just be going through their own thing and you don't want to worry them with your problems. But let's just talk about how this can be maybe a different experience than you may be feeling right now. When I first got out of college, I started my first business. I was young. I was in my 20s. I thought I knew what I was doing. And for a while, I did very, very well. And I focused my plan based on what I've been told to go to school, get a job, or start a business, make money, buy the house, get the car. Like I did all of that. As I pursued that direction, the economy started to change. And I didn't know how to refocus my business, but I saw the writing on the wall. And a lot of it looks very reminiscent now to what we experienced in 2008, which is why I want to have a virtual conversation. Many of you already know my story, but I'm going to share it for new folks. I measure my success by how much money I made, what title I had. And when those things didn't exist anymore, I had a really hard time convincing myself that I was worthy or that I was intelligent or that I was resilient. I had a hard time convincing myself of my actual value because I associated to, regardless of all of the things, the experiences and the wisdom and the things that I had learned over the years, somehow I thought I wasn't worthy simply because either a corporation wasn't paying me or I wasn't making money from clients or things like that. And I found myself losing everything from my business. All these things that I spent years trying to build, I lost everything. And for those of you who are looking for jobs and can't find them, I've been there. I remember applying for over 50 jobs at the time. And this is before they had virtual meetings, right? So you literally had to get dressed. You had to put on makeup. You had to put on a suit. You had to be presentable. And you had to go to a physical location, pay gas or transportation costs to go to said location to do your in-person interview for it not to work. And so often employers would ask me, they said, you've been self-employed for 10 years already. How do we know you won't leave? And I'm thinking, and granted, I was young when I was getting this question. And I was like, well, how do you know if anyone's going to leave? And if anything, you would appreciate me having an entrepreneur mindset because I'm able to look at problems, do problem solve, do all. They didn't care about that. They wanted to make sure that someone who would commit to whatever. And they're right. It probably wasn't me. After having so many people tell me no, it's going to affect you emotionally, affected me emotionally. Whatever insecurity you have at the moment, now you have these strangers telling you that you're not qualified or they can't envision you working for their company. Truth be told, I probably didn't want to work with their company anyway. But if you're going through some type of transition, particularly if it's in the case of job loss, let's say massive job loss, companies still need to have the work done. So consider various temporary agencies. Usually companies don't want to do benefits and pay for all of those types of things. So they go to temporary agencies. Now they have temporary agencies in a variety of different specialized fields. So if you're an accountant, if you're a creative, if you do anything, you can sign up for these various temporary agencies. And although it might not give you health benefits, but it can give you some cash just so you can kind of get your head above water. Now, typically when the world is experiencing mass layoffs, these type of temporary agencies start to get a lot of money from corporations because corporations start to struggle because they laid off their staff. Now, you may find yourself with a lot more time on your hand. So initially, when I was going through it, I spent a lot of time being depressed. And you may need that time. You may need that time to be sad. But you may never get time like this again. Okay? So this is the time when you get to reevaluate your whole life and decide what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. When I lost everything, I lost people I thought were friends, which end up being a blessing in disguise. I lost a toxic work environment, even though I created said work environment because I worked to death and didn't take breaks. Got rid of that. I got rid of a lot of things that I had to. So think of this as kind of like a cleansing. Now, what you decide to do at this time and moment is really going to depend on you. Knowledge is free and it is everywhere right now. So whatever it is, it's time to skill up because we're going to have a very transparent conversation. There's a lot going on, even in the areas of technology. Things are going to get more competitive. And if you are still sitting around with the same skills that you know how to do from the past 20 or 30 years and you have not upskilled, you have not increased your skill or learned 2 to 3 more skills, and you're still going to be in the workforce for the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to struggle. Take this time to increase your skills. I would say 1 or 2. I'm over here learning Python. I'm learning programming. Not even that it may even be relevant in 3 to 4 years from now. But even in the transition that even I'm doing currently in my business is kind of necessary. Because here's what this will do. This will start to build that pivot muscle memory that we were talking about. When things are changing, you got to know when the relationship looks weird, you got to move. Whether that's business, job, platonic, romantic, whatever. You want to build that muscle. And this is the perfect opportunity to do it. So again, if you have some time on your hand, upskill. Start to increase those networks. Start to reach out. Learn new things. Meet new people. Because ultimately, when the job is here or gone, the business is gone, all you have is people anyway. And how you treat people is going to affect your whole life. Whether that's your friends, whether that's your colleagues, whether that's your partner, whether it's people you want to do business with. So this is the opportunity where you can do some personal skill development or personal development in general. I'm here to tell you it's going to be okay. And here's the benefit. And it's not going to sound like a benefit, but the whole world, if not your country, is going through it. Okay? So if we look at the recession of 2008, people were going through it. A lot of people lost their houses. A lot of people lost jobs. A lot of people whatever. So the people who held the debts, because they were struggling themselves, people would negotiate. Lien holders would negotiate. Housing was negotiated because it was happening to the whole world. If you were the only person who lost your job in your city or town, they'll just take your stuff. But when it's happening to so many people, they can't even handle the load. So there will be some accommodations, and I'm not saying that your government is going to come out and save you. I'm just going to say there are going to be some accommodations. You don't know what that's going to look like because we've never seen what's going to happen. We've never seen it before. Just like in 2007, 2008, we hadn't seen it before. So there is going to be light on the other side. I'm just encouraging you to just stay strong just through this period. I know sometimes it's hard, right? And you may not have someone to talk to, and it might feel unbearable. It may feel like it's not going to get better, but I'm just asking you to have a little hope. Just a little bit. I'm asking you to be transparent with people If you need to talk to anyone, talk to them. That's the part that makes us human, is the connections, the relationships. And sometimes when you're going through it, you just try to do it yourself. And then that's usually not the way to go. Because that's when bad things start getting in your head. And they don't even be true half of the time, but you still sitting in it for days and weeks and months and years. Just talk to someone. And I hope, even I've been affected by this transition in just my company, and having to be able to decide what services look like, because technology, specifically large language models, have shaken my industry of digital marketing. And if you're a fellow person in the industry and you don't know that, listen, things are going to change drastically. Skills, if you're a business owner, skills and services you may have been able to sell before, you may not be able to sell now. And you have to see and make those transitions. So for business owners or people who are interested in starting a company, I will start to show the pivots and transitions I've had to make in my business, hoping it'll help. I don't know if it will. But if you're interested in that, I encourage you to stick around. And we'll try to hopefully be a supportive community together. I know it's not a lot of that on the internet. And in case you get triggered because negativity is your go-to, it's your armor, what you wear because some unhappiness in your life. Listen, I got time. But real talk, if you feel like that you just don't have any answers, don't worry about having any right now. Just be, experience, and then when something feels right, you'll know it. You'll say, oh, I might want to go in that direction, or I want to learn that, or I want to see that. Don't go to any strangers on the internet expecting them to tell you what to do with your life. Don't do that, including me. Don't go that direction. What I encourage you to do is see and learn and experience a bunch of different things so that you can ask intelligent questions to people or places or whatever that have done it. And then that way you can make the decision on what the right decision is for you. Because there's going to be a lot of unsavory people coming out and doing and trying to sell you a dream. And you have to decide what you want the dream to be, what you want your life to be, your personal life to be, and then figure out the steps to do that. And then that's how you set it up. Like when I left America, I didn't have a whole bunch of plans, but I knew it wasn't in the U.S. And so I was determined to figure that out for myself. But I've done that whether I wanted to start a business, whether I wanted to leave the country, whether I wanted to write a book, whatever I wanted to do, I did the initial research to figure it out so that I can ask intelligent questions of people who have done it. And like I said, right now, if you find yourself with a lot of time on your hand, now you can use that opportunity because you might not get it again. Once you get a job and you're working on somebody else's dream, or even if you're self-employed and you have all these clients, you're not going to have the time that you may have right now. So although this may feel like what is happening to me, it might be some much needed rest and reevaluation. But stay tapped in with the people you love, and stay tapped in with maybe reflecting on some relationships that you could have done better by. Because that's all we're here for. I hope this helped at least one person. Till next time.